Jaya Jaya Mahavana. केशी घाट वंशी भाट द्वादश काना. केशी घाट वंशी भाट द्वादश काना. जहाँ सब लीला कोइलो श्री नंद नंदन. जहाँ सब लीला कोइलो श्री नंद नंदन. श्री नंद यशोदा जय जय गोपागन. श्री नंद यशोदा जय जय गोपागन. श्री दामादि जय जय धेनु वत्सगन. श्री दामादि जय जय धेनु वत्सगन. जय राधे जय कृष्ण जय वृंदावन. राधे जय राधे जय कृष्ण जय वृंदावन. श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन. श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन. मदन मोहन. मदन मोहन. मदन मोहन. मदन मोहन. जय राधे जय कृष्ण जय वृंदावन. जय राधे जय कृष्ण जय वृंदावन. श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन. श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन. जय वृषभानु जय कीर्तिदा सुंदरे. जय वृषभानु जय कीर्तिदा सुंदरे. जय पूर्णमासी जय आभिर नागरे. जय पूर्णमासी जय आभिर नागरे. जय जय गोपेश्वर वृंदावन माझ. जय जय गोपीश्वर वृंदावन माझ. जय जय कृष्ण सखा भट्टु द्विजराज. जय जय कृष्ण सखा भट्टु द्विजराज. जय राम घाट जय रोहिणी नंदन. जय राम घाट जय रोहिणी नंदन. जय जय वृंदावन वासी जटा जन. जय जय वृंदावन वासी जटा जन. जय राधे Jai Krishna Jai Vrindavana Jai Radhe Jai Krishna Jai Vrindavana Shri Govinda Gopinath Madana Mohana Shri Govinda Gopinath Madana Mohana Jaya Dvija Patni Jayo Nagakanyaga Jayo Nagakanyaga Jaya Dvija Patni Jayo Nagakanyagana Bhakti Teja Hara Paila Govinda Charana Bhakti Teja Hara Paila Govinda Charana Shri Rasa Mandala Jaya Jaya Radha Shama Shri Rasa Mandala Jayo Jai Radha Shyam Jaya Jaya Rasa Leela Sarva Manorama Jayo Jayo Rasa Leela Sarva Manorama Jaya Jaya Ujjvala Rasa Sarva Rasa Sara Jaya Jaya Ujjvala Rasa Sarva Rasa Sara Par kiya bhave jaha vrajate prachar पर किया भावे जहाँ व्रजते प्रचार श्री जानव पाद पद्मा कोरिया स्मराना श्री जानव पाद पद्मा कोरिया स्मराना दीना कृष्ण दासे कहे नाम संकीर्तन 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 जय जगन्नाथ जय जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा निता गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निता गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निता गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निता गौर हरि बोल Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavana Everyone please together Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna. Louder, together. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavana. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavana. Louder. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavana. Shri Govinda Gopinath Madana Mohana. Shri Govinda Gopinath Madana Mohana. Madana Mohana. Madana Mohana. Madana Mohana. Madana Mohana. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Thank you everyone, Hare Krishna, for joining us with the Kirtan. Now we'll resume with the usual program. Over to Ananda Madhava Prabhu.
Introduction, topic, no, nothing. Okay, let's welcome Anand Madhav Prabhu with a round of applause. He's a pharmacist by profession and he's been practicing Bhakti Yoga for over many years. And the topic for today is success is internal. So let's see how success is internal.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava, do you sing? No. Monil Prabhu, do we sing Jai Radha Madhava? No. Or I can go right into it? Okay, sounds good. Perfect. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to the program, to the temple on this wonderful Saturday. So, yeah, we'll get started here. How many of us know Mahabharat, just by the show of hands? Yes? Okay, perfect. So in Mahabharat, as you know, it's the fratricidal war between the Pandavas and the Kauravas. Pandavas' side is led by Yudhishthira Maharaj, Arjuna, Bhim, Nakula, Sahadev. And Kaurava side is led by Duryodhan and his 99 brothers and their relatives. So we know that on the first day, we have the Bhagavad Gita that is spoken. Arjuna starts by saying that Krishna, please place my rath in the battlefield of the two armies. I want to see who are so keen for this battle to begin. I want to see who's come here to really, ask for who's really keen to fight. Towards the end of the Mahabharata war, a very unfortunate tragedy transpires. It happens in the middle of the night, where one character by the name of Ashwathama enters into the Pandavas' camp, and he brutally murders the 5 sons of Draupadi. Let us paint some context into why Ashwathama does this. So before this, Ashwathama's father, Dronacharya, has been brutally murdered. In one sense, he's also been murdered by Drishtadumna, who is on the Pandavas' side. Yudhishthira Maharaj was instructed by Krishna that tell Dronacharya, Ashwathama's father, that Ashwathama has died. Yudhishthira Maharaj now had never told a lie in his life. And he told Krishna, I cannot tell this lie. And Krishna said, no, you have to. If you want to defeat Drona, you have to get him to cast his weapons aside. Only that way, and he'll only do that if he knows his son has died. So Yudhishthira Maharaj goes up to Dronacharya, and he says, Ashwathama has died. But Yudhishthira Maharaj is so, you can say he was, in the Mahabharata it is described that he was, even though people say that, the way it's said is that he was the son of Yamaraj, Dharmaraj, it wasn't really quite as simple as that. It is said that Yudhishthira Maharaj was Dharmaraj himself, an incarnation of Dharmaraj himself. And so when Yudhishthira Maharaj goes to Dronacharya and he says Ashwathama has died, he can't bring himself to life fully. And so he says, the elephant, not the warrior. But this part, the elephant, not the warrior, Dronacharya doesn't hear it. Krishna blows his conch shell. And so Dronacharya has only heard Ashwathama has died. And he goes into tremendous amount of grief. He sets his weapons aside and he just sits down in samadhi. And while he's seated down, unarmed, Drishtadumna, who is another character on the Pandava side, he comes. In Drishtadumna, you can say, was the Pandava's brother-in-law, Draupadi's brother. And so Drishtadumna comes and he says he severs the head of Dronacharya from his body. This is a very ghastly scene, and even the Pandavas censure Drishtadumna for doing this. So Ashwathama sees this and he's like, this is unfair, this is unjust. How could you attack an unarmed man? This is against the rules of battle, not considering all the rules that the Kaurava side has broken until now. And so he's really hurt. He's really, you can say, he feels that a lot of unjust was done to his father, the way he was killed. Very dishonorably. And so he's carrying this. And then what happens is, at the end, there's a battle between Bhim and Duryodhan. Bhim is a Pandava, Duryodhan is the main Kaurava. And Bhim attacks Duryodhan on his thigh. And Duryodhan, of course, succumbs to his injuries and he dies. This is another act, another unjust act in the eyes of Ashwathama. So he's saying, how can these Pandavas claim to have the moral high ground? How can they win the war when they continue to do such unjust, unfair tactics? How they continue to enact these unfair tactics out and then claim that they have rightfully won the war. So he's carrying this within his heart. A lot of pain, a lot of grief. And with this pain and grief, he then approaches, thank you so much, Prabhu. With this pain and grief, he then approaches Duryodhan. And Duryodhan says, the only thing that will console me is the death of the Pandavas. So Ashwathama makes a vow. He says, I will go and bring you the heads of the 5 Pandavas. Duryodhan's like, Tathastu, so be it. So this happens during the end of the day. So the Ashwathama sort of gives Duryodhan some weapons just to ward him. It's in the middle of the jungle, so at night, jackals and all these animals come to pick apart the dead or nearly dead bodies. And so Duryodhan has these weapons besides him just to fight them off. But then Ashwatthama goes into the Pandavas' camp. He said, just as how they have unjustly murdered my father, how they have unjustly defeated Duryodhan, I will now unjustly kill all the Pandavas. By today's standards, this tactic of warfare is completely just. But in those times, the standards were a lot more refined, a lot more higher, a lot more honorable. And so Ashwatthama enters the camp of the Pandavas. And in there, he sees 5 men lying in the main tent. They had different tents, and he somehow makes himself to what was thought to be the Pandavas' tent, the tent where the 5 Pandavas would sleep. And he saw 5 male bodies lying there. Immediately, it is described in the Mahabharata that he actually, at that moment, it is described that rage personified had descended into the mind of Ashwatthama, right? Like we see road rage. We see the rage if there are any sleepy heads in the audience. If you try to wake a sleepy head when they're not supposed to be woken up, you can get a trailer of that rage. But the rage that Ashwatthama saw was rage personified. That's what he had become. And so it is described that he took the sword and he just didn't, the way he killed the 5 sons of Draupadi was barbaric in one way. What he did is, he suffocated them so that they didn't make any noise, and while they were being suffocated, he would slice off their heads while they were conscious. Very, very barbaric. He took those 5 heads, put it in a bag, and then brought it to Duryodhan. I know this is getting a bit gory. That was the most goriest part. Duryodhan, when he says, Duryodhan, I've brought these heads of the 5 Pandavas. Now, the one detail that we should mention here is Ashwatthama thought to himself, that was way too easy. Pandavas, so easy, I killed them all. This is a lot. Sometimes you're like, what's the catch? This is becoming way too easy. And when it is described that when he actually grabbed the body of the 5 sons of Draupadi, the muscles were not so strong. They were very, you can say, soft. And just by feeling the muscles of the sons of Draupadi, he could understand that these were not the 5 Pandavas, but the sons of Draupadi, the sons of the Pandavas. But he said, what will Duryodhan know? Duryodhan is half dead anyways. I'll go show this to him. At least he'll have a peaceful death. And so he goes to Duryodhan, and Duryodhan immediately, he can tell, he's like, you by yourself killed the Pandavas? Okay, let me see. You said you've brought the heads, let me see. And when he showed them the heads, Duryodhan immediately took the head, the face was really cut up, so he couldn't tell who was who, but he took the head and with his fist, he tried to crush the skull. The Pandavas, they were very, very blessed. They had very muscular bodies, and their bone was very, very strong. But their sons, not as strong. So when Duryodhan crushed the first skull, he was like, this is not a Pandava. And he did it for all 5, and he was like, and he looked at Ashwatthama, and Ashwatthama couldn't bring himself to say it, and Duryodhan had understood what had happened. And this act was so barbaric that even Duryodhan forsake Ashwatthama. He said, you've committed an unspeakable act. How could you do this? And how could you do it in such a barbaric way? And he even was disappointed. Imagine Duryodhan, who was the main catalyst for this war to happen. He's disappointed in somebody. You can imagine how low that person must be. That was validation from our TV too. That's how low that act was. Even the TV agrees. And so in the morning, of course, this is happening on the Duryodhan camp. In the Pandava camp, Draupadi has found out that her sons have been so brutally murdered. And immediately she starts crying, like weeping incessantly. And of course, this gathers the attention of the entire Pandava camp. Arjuna in particular comes and he says, what has happened? And he says, somebody has murdered my sons. And through various accounts of people who saw Ashwatthama through the camp running with the sword, they sort of summarize that no, it was Ashwatthama who has done such an act. And so when Arjuna learned about this, he immediately goes and he tries to find Ashwatthama. He catches him and he brings him to Draupadi. Let's take a pause here. Let's actually reflect on what has happened. So Ashwatthama said he wanted to kill the Pandavas. Fine, he didn't kill the Pandavas, he killed their sons. He, by a material sense, he got, you can one say, some level of accomplishment. He inflicted some damage to the Pandava camp. But when Ashwatthama was caught, if you know the story, was he killed? Ashwatthama wasn't killed. So by material sense, who was successful? Ashwatthama or Arjuna? Arjuna caught Ashwatthama but didn't kill him. Ashwatthama dealt a very heavy blow to the Pandava camp. So Ashwatthama, by material standard, has one accomplishment, Arjuna has zero. If we were just to consider like modern day military accomplishments, in one sense, Ashwatthama has a 5 kill count, Arjuna has a 0. Like in this, we're not talking about the war, we're talking about this instance. He's only caught Ashwatthama, he hasn't killed him. But yet, the scriptures and the acharyas tell us, the saints tell us, that in this scenario, it was Arjuna who was successful. How can this be? Ashwatthama dealt such a blow to the Pandava camp. He killed the 5 sons of Draupadi. Nobody, and then what he did to make sure that he wiped the Pandava legacy off the face of the earth, he launched a Brahmastra towards Uttara to kill the embryo within her womb, to end the line. But then, of course, Maharaj, the embryo was protected. But in one sense, you can say, like, if we were to consider what Ashwatthama did by modern military standards, he actually delivered a great blow to the Pandava camp. And yet, it is Arjuna who we glorify. Why is this? So this is what we'll discuss from here on out. So Arjuna brings Ashwatthama in front of Draupadi. And what is the first thing that Draupadi tells Arjuna? Does anyone know? Yes? Let him go. She says, let him go. Why have you brought him here? And then his brother, Bhim, says, why are you going to let him go? He acted so barbarically. We should punish him. We should kill him. And to this, Draupadi says, no, please don't kill him. Why? I don't want the mother of Ashwatthama to feel what I am feeling right now. Imagine this. Imagine the strength of a mother. Imagine Draupadi, that her 5 sons have been brutally murdered. For a mother to see her sons, her children, murdered, die before she did, for any parent, that's incredibly, I can't even imagine how hurtful, painful that is. And she is weeping. It's not like she has recovered. She's had some time to process all of this. She's gone to therapy. She is still in the midst of suffering incredibly. And she still has the foresight to be like, no, I don't want, even though he has done this, I don't want his mother to feel what I am feeling right now. That is what the saints and acharyas glorify. And so coming to our topic, when I say that real success is internal, we can see that in the entire Mahabharata, the people that are glorified are characters like Arjuna, Yudhishthir, Draupadi. And for Draupadi specifically, why is that? Because in such a moment where she has endured so much, she still has the strength in her to make sure that she is thinking about the compassion of the mother of Ashwatthama. Her reasoning to Arjuna is this, that Dronacharya is his guru. We know that we have 7 types of mothers. And so one type of those mothers is the wife of our guru, is to be considered our mother. And so Draupadi is saying that if the wife of Dronacharya is my husband's mother, therefore to me she is also my mother-in-law. So why would I want my mother-in-law to go through this? Which makes Ashwatthama, in one sense, it makes Ashwatthama her brother-in-law. She's like, why would I want my brother-in-law and my mother-in-law to experience such suffering in that moment? That's incredible, isn't it? The amount of strength, the amount of restraint it takes for someone to, in that moment, to just be like, no, I don't want to be the cause of someone else's suffering. That is why we say that success is internal. Externally, Ashwatthama delivered a very, very impactful blow to the Pandavas' camp. But whose success do we glorify? We glorify Draupadi's success. Because real success, again, as we said, is internal. Outside, she has lost her sons. And even if we consider everything that has happened in Draupadi's life, she was disrobed. She was disrobed in the assembly full of men. And nobody stepped up to save her. Just imagine that. Not even her husbands. Then she's born a princess. She was the princess of she was the daughter of King Drupad. So she's born a princess. She's known luxury her entire life. Yet, because of the actions of her husbands, she has to suffer so much. How many years? Does anyone know? How many years they had to go to the forest? Sorry? 12 years. And then the 1 year was the incognito. 13, right? Yeah. So she has to suffer 12 years. And then the 1 year that she's in incognito, there is an unscrupulous man that is trying to take advantage of her. Kichak. Kichak was, Kichak was some relative of the kingdom in which they were staying at. And in that kingdom, Kichak was like related to the royal family. And so she couldn't say anything. And if she said anything, that it would give her her identity. And so she quietly tolerated that until Bhim came along and beat him up, essentially. But she had to tolerate that for, so 12 years, she has to tolerate living in such, such harsh environments. And then for the 1 year where she has to keep hidden, she has to tolerate an unscrupulous man trying to take advantage of her, and she can't do anything about it. And then after all of that is done, she's like, finally, let's go, we'll go to the, we'll get some sort of justice. She still doesn't get that. Her husbands don't get her kingdom. They're not able to secure that. And then now, when Draupadi wasn't one of the people who said, no, there must be a war. Yes, please, please. She was not like a catalyst for the war. And yet, at no fault of her own, her sons are murdered. So imagine how much she's had to go through. And even after all this, in this moment, she's able to say, no, please, let him go. Don't kill him. He's the son of your guru, and I don't want his mother to feel the same suffering I'm feeling, so please let him go. This is internal strength. This is what we say real success. Success in the modern world is determined by competence. Yes, if you have competence, you'll be successful. You have competence in the form of your education, in the form of your skills, even in the form of your financial or social capital. That is when, in one sense, all of that factors into competence. If you have competence, you will be successful. But here we see the Shastras teach us that it's not competence. What is it that determines real success? It's character. The character of Draupadi was so strong that even in this moment, she was able to think about being compassionate and in this way actually confer real success. Let's then also look at the example of Arjuna in this instance. Arjuna, even though we call them Draupadi's sons, there were 5 sons, but there were 1 son for each of the 5 Pandavas. So one of the sons that was also murdered was Arjuna's own son. Yes? And now let's look at what Arjuna has gone through. His first son has already been murdered brutally, Abhimanyu. Yes? And not only that, but then the way he was treated after his death. And his face, his body was kicked around. The body is dead, it's lying there. And I forget which character came. And he kicked his face, he kicked it, and he said that this is this is their standard. So he was disrespected so much. And now his other sons have also been killed. His wife is crying. She is it is said that Draupadi's favorite was Arjuna. Arjuna was Draupadi's favorite. And so in this state, he has been given 3 commands. By Draupadi, he has been given the command to let Ashwatthama go. So the person who committed such a barbaric act, even for a Kshatriya, that's almost like adharmic to let someone like that go, because Kshatriyas were supposed to be the protector of society. To let such almost a felon, a criminal walk away like this is actually adharmic to them. So he maintained, he says, no, I won't let them go. So Draupadi says, let him go. His elder brother, Bhimsen, says, please don't let him go. Kill him. Don't let him go. Please kill him. And then his best friend, and by his understanding, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, what does Krishna say in this? So he got 3 instructions. Draupadi says, let him go. Bhimsen says, don't let him go. What does Krishna tell him? Does anyone know? You've given to me. Someone else? Sorry, I heard an answer there. Sorry? Krishna, okay, and? Okay, so that came later, and we'll get to when that comes in. But in this moment, yes? Yes. So Krishna says that so Draupadi says, if you want to make me happy, let him go. Bhimsen says, if you want to make me happy, kill him. Krishna says, if you want to make me happy, listen to Bhimsen and Draupadi. So how does he kill and not kill at the same time? And so then Arjuna in that moment has to, you think about, and not only that, I'll backtrack a little bit. It is described that when Arjuna, so he's gone, he is chasing Ashwatthama, he sees him, Ashwatthama is also running. So Arjuna is telling Krishna, please catch up to him, catch up to him, catch up to him. He catches up to him, he binds him, he puts him in the rath, in the chariot, and he's driving him back. And Krishna is like, why are you driving him back? Just kill him now, finish the, game over, get it over with. Why take him back to Draupadi? And Arjuna might, can say that, well, I've promised Draupadi that I'll bring Ashwatthama. Then Krishna can say, yeah, but you didn't tell her whether you'll bring him alive or dead. So you kill him now, bring her the dead body, it's finished, game over, right? And like this, Krishna is inciting him, giving him every reason to kill Ashwatthama while Ashwatthama is in Arjuna's custody. What does Arjuna do? He does not kill him to begin with. He brings him to Draupadi. And then he satisfies both the wishes of Draupadi and Bhimsen and Krishna. He cuts off his hair and he cuts off his jewel. Ashwatthama was born with the jewel. He cuts off his jewel that gave him the strength of his power, and he cuts off Ashwatthama's hair in such a way so that the appearance, just by looking at Ashwatthama, people can say that he has no honor left. He's actually classless. He's the lowest of the low. And he does it in this way so that socially Ashwatthama is dead, but physically he's living. This also we see that, okay, by one standard, again, by modern standard, they'll say, bro, Ashwatthama got off easy. He didn't get killed. He didn't get any, he was saved. He was, it could have been so much worse for him, but he didn't die. He was fine. So again, by modern standards, we can say, actually, Arjuna, he made the wrong call. He should have killed him because Ashwatthama delivered such an impactful blow. And yet, he ended up living to see another day. But then again, the Shastra described that this apparent external success is nowhere near the amount of success and accomplishment Arjuna has shown because of his internal character. He had every reason to kill Ashwatthama, and yet he stuck to his dharma. He stuck to the principle of integrity. And then when Arjuna brought Ashwatthama in front of Draupadi, he not only followed what Draupadi had to say, he followed what Bhimsen had to say and what Krishna had to say. This is what it means to have real success in our life. We should really evaluate that when such provoking situations come our way, what is our response? Externally, the world and you can say the teachers of the modern world will tell us that when provoking situations come our way, we should be equally provoking. We shouldn't back down. We should be the ones to show that, no, I am actually the boss of you. But that's on an external level. Internally, the questions we can ask ourselves according to time, place, circumstance, am I actually showing restraint? Am I actually showing compassion? Am I actually showing humility? How many times in one day only do people, thoughts, ideas, conversations, even gossip, how much are we exposed to, and how many times are we provoked in a day? And then out of all those times that we are provoked, let us evaluate, can we honestly say that at least half of those times I actually follow principles of integrity, religiosity, humility, honesty, all these values. The world has become, the situation of the world is as such, that we have leaders who are establishing such behaviors. So what can you expect of the common people? But real strength, real success, again, it's an internal job, it's not external. The third example, I just want to make sure we have time. The last example that I want to share with you is actually from another pastime. So for the Mahabharata, we discussed the strength of Draupadi that showed compassion. For Arjuna's example, which we demonstrated that even in the provoking situation, he still showed cool-mindedness, cool-headedness. And the third example is we take it from the Ramayana. So the first two are from the Mahabharata, the third one is from the Ramayana. The Ramayana, one of my favorite characters in the Ramayana is a character known as Jatayu. What had happened, as most of you may know, is Ravan has abducted Sita and he's flying to Lanka from the Dandakaranya forest. And as he's flying over, Jatayu spots him. Now Jatayu is extremely, extremely old at this point. Very, very old. And not only is he old, he's very frail as well. When he sees Ravan getting abducted by Sita, he recognizes Sita. Why? Because Jatayu was actually very good friends with Dashrath. And so he recognizes that this Sita is actually the consort of my Lord, of Lord Ram, the son of my good friend Dashrath. And so he decides to engage with Ravan, and he challenges him to a duel, and he fights to his very end to make sure that he can discourage Ravan from abducting Sita. Now, what is interesting to know, I mean, I'll finish the story and then we'll come back. Eventually, what happens? Ravan is much more stronger than him. Jatayu actually, he still fights with all his valor. It is described that he destroys Ravan's chariot. He kills Ravan's charioteer. And Ravan had, 10 arms, or 20 arms, 10. And Jatayu would pick off 10 or 20 of them, but then they would just grow back. And so he kept on fighting till the very end. He would dig his claws into the back of Ravan and literally just pick out chunks of flesh from his body to try and stop him. Of course, at the end of the day, we know that Jatayu was no match, where Ravan took up 2 swords and simultaneously cut off Jatayu's wings, both his wings together. Now, what is interesting to know here is that Jatayu, when he saw Ravan, Jatayu was said to be the king of the vultures. So he could understand how much physical strength Ravan had, and he could understand how little physical strength he has. Despite knowing that this will be the end of his life, he still charges towards Ravan. He says, even if it means to put my life on the line, I cannot let this act go unchecked. Materially, who wins? Ravan wins. He kills Jatayu. But who do we remember more? Who do we glorify? Who do we sing the glories of? We sing the glories of Jatayu. It is said in the Ramayana that Dashrath, when he passed away, Ram couldn't be there to offer the final rites. But who did Ram offer the final rites to? He completed the final rites for Jatayu. Jatayu got something that even Dashrath, Ram's own father, did not get. So who was successful? Jatayu was successful. This is, again, it comes back to the point. Success in the material world, yes, can be external, but it also means that it'll be short-lived. Nothing in this material world lasts forever. And I don't think I need to go into details. You can, for practical reasons, you literally can put a piece of bread outside and see how long it lasts. It'll disintegrate within a few days, if it's not as processed. Now with processing, I don't know. So you can practically see it. So same thing with material success. Today you have it, tomorrow you don't. When I was growing up, the richest man in the world was Bill Gates. Then came Warren Buffett. Then came Jeff Bezos. Before that was Mark Zuckerberg. Then came Jeff Bezos. Now it's Elon Musk. Tomorrow it's going to be somebody else. So material success, today it's here, tomorrow it's not. But spiritual success is something that is eternal. Ramayana happened how many thousands of years ago? It happened in Treta Yuga, a whole different yuga altogether. And yet today, in 2025, in Toronto, Canada, we're still talking about Jatayu. This is what is the impact of spiritual success. And spiritual success does not need competence. What it needs character. It needs inner strength. Can we actually, there's a saint who always says that if we don't have anything that we're willing to die for, we actually in one sense don't have anything that we're willing to live for. And this was most exemplified by Jatayu, who knew that even though he was going to fail, it was going to be his last day, he still charged towards Ravan, fearless, completely fearless, and fought to the very end to try and stop him from abducting Sita. So with that, I'd like to conclude. And so the topic that real success is internal, what we covered today we took two stories and we talked about three different characters. We talked about Mother Sita and how even though after Ashwatthama brutally murdered her sons, she was still able to forgive him instantly and think about the compassion. And from a compassionate standpoint, think about the suffering that would be caused to his mother if Ashwatthama died. And so she told Arjuna to leave him, to let him go. Arjuna, when he saw Ashwatthama, he had every right to kill him. He could have killed him instantly. But even then, even after he later launches the Brahmastra, at which point Krishna says that you can't die, you have to then, that is the punishment he gives Ashwatthama. So Arjuna had every right to kill Ashwatthama, and he still doesn't. He practices restraint, and he actually practices very, you can say, cool-headedness to make sure that the appropriate type of punishment is given. And the third person that we see is Jatayu, who literally laid down his life to make sure that to protect Mother Sita. He laid down his life doing something that he believed in, which was going against Adharma, going against Ravan. And so again, even though he didn't succeed, we can see that spiritually he did. So these are the three examples that we talked about, and that is the thought I want to leave with you, and that is the point I want to leave with you today, is when we think about success, let's take a moment to ask ourselves, is this external success, or is this internal? And how am I actually practicing and cultivating internal qualities that will improve or sort of confer spiritual success rather than material? Hare Krishna. Any questions, comments, feedback? More than happy to take. None? Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Let's give a big round of applause for Ananda Madhava. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for your very insightful and amazing talk, as always. So this was Saturday Sadhana Circle, and we do this every Saturday. And we also have many other events. All these events are hosted by Bhakti Academy. And Bhakti Academy is a group of young students or working professionals who have dedicated their part of life for spirituality. So we stay in temple, we practice spirituality, we dance together, we eat together, we do all things together. And we also host many of these events together. So if you want more info, we'll share the QR code shortly, and you can scan the QR code to join our WhatsApp group, and you'll be notified of all these events. And we'll also bring a book table, which is not here yet, but you'll have many books, and everything that Prabhu just talked about, you can find it in the scriptures. That is, main of them is Bhagavad Gita. So if you don't have a Bhagavad Gita, please try to take one home with you today. And we'll be serving prasadam at 8:30, and the DT doors will again open at 8 o'clock for the last Shayanarti. Our Govinda's boutique, which is right next door, is also open. We also have a wonderful restaurant, so you can also visit there for prasadam. So thank you so much for joining again, and we will see you next time. Hare Krishna.